Hello and welcome to the Fastmarkets Live Lounge, brought to you by Aquatech. And we've recorded this live at the Lithium Supply and Battery Raw Materials Conference here in Las Vegas. Now, I'm Georgia Tolley, and I'm delighted to say that joining me now is Venkee Sharma. He is Executive Chairman of Aquatech. Now, they are a global leader in water and critical minerals processing technology. Venkee Sharma's been at the helm of Aquatech for more than 30 years. And in this time, the company's transformed from a small regional manufacturer of industrial water treatment to a really leading player in critical minerals and also industrial water. He plays a leading role as well in the USA's dynamic critical minerals industry, serving on the US-India CEO Forum and also the advisory committees of the US Exim Bank. Venkee received an engineering degree in chemical and biomedical engineering from Carnegie Mellon University. He's also an alumni of Harvard Business School. He presently serves on the Carnegie Mellon, that's the CIT, Dean's Advisory Council at Carnegie Mellon University. Now, Aquatech is, as I'm sure you know, the world's leading platform for critical minerals process technology and also for industrial water treatment. The world's industrial leaders rely on Aquatech's cutting-edge technology, their unrivaled project execution, and also their world-class services. And they really rely on them to safeguard the energy, resources, and manufacturing that power the future. Since its founding in 1981, Aquatech has executed over 2,000 projects in 60 countries, and it's across a whole bunch of sectors. You know, lithium, mining, power generation, there's chemical, there's petrochemical, there's pharmaceutical, there's microelectronics, there's food and beverage, and then also the manufacturing industries. You get a sense there of the importance of their technology. Venkee, thank you so much for joining us. Great pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Georgia.
Okay, you've been with Aquatech for more than 3 decades. We've heard a lot about how the company has evolved over that time. Perhaps you can sort of talk us through it.
Sure. Aquatech really started in Western Pennsylvania. We're a U.S. company, and we grew with a focus on technology. Really started serving the steel industry, and all that circularly comes back to some of the largest projects in the world we're executing right now. But we've grown geographically over that time. We've grown our technology portfolio, breadth, depth, and usually depth in what we focus on. And we have grown our industry diversity. But as a company, our DNA is industrial. We have very much enjoyed being a part of the critical minerals, lithium industry for the last decade.
You mentioned their breadth. Aquatech works across 60 countries, across a wide range of industries. What would you say has been your key to sustaining this global success story?
I think the cornerstone of our brand is really focusing on technology innovation, project and performance excellence, and ultimately delivering the outcome we promise to our customer. So that's really it.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple but straightforward,
right.
And with a focus on excellence. Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Now, from CEO to executive chairman, you have held multiple leadership roles with the company. It's grown as you've grown in position. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned on the way? Because I think that's really interesting to get a sense of your leadership style.
I think that the issue of talent and people, and having the best people, we're blessed with a great team, and that has been a cornerstone to our success. And then working with customers that value, because ultimately technology is as good as the value it is to a customer, but ultimately those customers that are sophisticated enough to ascribe a value and who want long-term relationships. What we aren't as a company is transactional. We look at a long-term view. with customers, with our employees, as well as our supply chains that we work with.
You've been winning awards. Aquatech, recently was awarded the very first Make More in America award, a big moment for the company. I'm sure everyone will agree. And that really recognizes the company's contribution to the US critical minerals sector, a sector that's becoming, I think, more sensitive as the years go by. What does that recognition mean to you guys?
Well, we're really thrilled with what's going on in the US as far as advanced manufacturing. We've been participating. We're a manufacturer and exporter, one of the leading exporters out of the US. And, I think that just symbolizes our commitment to really supporting supply chains, specifically those that support national security, national critical mineral security, and so many other areas. So it was, a great honor.
There is greater emphasis being placed, as we all know, about making things in America. Do you think an award like that reflects the changing perspective on that need to, have domestic mineral independence ultimately?
Absolutely. I think that it's very clear over the last couple years that there's more of a regional emphasis on critical mineral supply. All of the things we see out there as far as statistics on supply and demand, they're still sort of global in nature. However, with the changes that have been going on, geopolitical, trade relationships, these really have to be viewed from a regional perspective. And those really imply greater needs, whether it's in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, than what comes through on global charts.
Yeah, that is gaining greater stature. Well, it's been so interesting here on this podcast series, speaking to people from all the different countries, and I think there is a shared sense that regional superiority or regional focus is going to become more and more important, and you can understand it from each country's perspective.
Correct.
Okay, I want to talk about the launch of Pearl. That is your new lithium technology platform. So what does it represent for Aquatech?
Well, first of all, Pearl really stands for purification. We picked Pearl because of its symbol of purity, but ultimately purification through ultimately extraction, refining of lithium, and ultimately to the purity standards that are needed, whether it's battery manufacturers, automotive OEMs, and other users of lithium. So our focus in Pearl as a platform is to deliver, no matter what the resource or type of resource is, whether it's clay, rock, brines, could be continental, could be geothermal, or could be oil field brines, the ability to deliver an end-to-end solution that's really fit for the purpose of the resource and fit for design of the resource, bespoke. Ultimately validate the flow sheet, optimize the flow sheet, and then commit and deliver with a performance guarantee for that delivery. So we feel a great need and a gap in the industry today, which is really fragmented in its solutions offerings. There's a pain point of whether it's automakers, battery providers that are taking offtake, or resource owners that, how do I deliver a complete solution that has a performance guarantee and will continue to meet KPIs on an ongoing basis? That's what Pearl is about.
And you're choosing to go across all the technologies.
Something you have to understand about Aquatech that's unique and that underlies our culture is that typically when we provide an offering, 80 to 90% of those technologies are our technologies. So we're not integrating something that we don't have deep understanding of. So, this has been something years in the making. This has been applied to customers like Rio Tinto Ambra Morte. It underlies the process technology in Thacker Pass in Nevada for Lithium Americas and a number of other projects. So this is not a wish, it's already in practice.
And you've introduced it now. Is there a sense that there's this sort of turning point at the moment in the lithium industry?
We're in a paradoxical time where we have a low cost of lithium, but we also have a clear view that 28 and forward, there's very strong demand and mismatches, especially regionally, for lithium, and we see demand all around. So it's a strange situation, but one of the biggest problems is the ability to get the large projects, the large resources off the ground, whether they're brine, whether they're clay, and get them to be bankable, have them optimized for CapEx, OpEx, and operability. And that's really what we do with Pearl. And I think it's a time like none other that we don't have too much time. We're approaching 26. Most of these projects take a few years. There's strong demand in our view. And there's strong need from the off-takers and financial investors to really have, let's say, adults at the table that are building these facilities.
Do you think there is a sort of understanding that to a certain extent the bet needs to be made, the investment needs to be made now?
Well, there's no lack of money. There's lack of the confidence that there's a project execution team, that there's an optimized process design, that the OpEx is something that's actually bankable, that will be delivered. A pro forma is a pro forma. What underlies the pro forma is what is the problem today in the lithium world. Okay.
I'm going to dig into your personal background a little bit more now again, because I feel I know about Pearl. I see it in the context of the sort of ongoing market. You've served on really high-level platforms like the US-India CEO Forum, also the Export-Import Bank Advisory Committee. How have those experiences sort of shaped your thinking on industrial policy? You must have a very international outlook.
Absolutely, and I think what that participation on these forums and others has really shown the understanding of how bilateral relations are working, how the regionalization and the march towards, at least in the near to midterm, regional markets is happening. Europe is going through a certain approach on how its lithium supplies will be provided. The U.S., of course, has lots of opportunities, but it has regional supply and demand needs. We're talking automakers, but, this morning in the opening keynotes, the points were made that energy storage, especially for data center and renewables, are coming on extremely strong. So demand is not only underpinned or driven by EV, but ESS. So, there are those regional markets emerging. Southeast Asia is one. India has a very fast-moving electric vehicle and ESS market that's growing. So we participate in most of those regional markets, as well as in South America. So it's very exciting, and it also highlights that each of these regions are looking at critical mineral security. And trying to support that is part of our clear focus.
Yeah, that idea of sovereignty is becoming increasingly talked about. I have to say, I've already heard much mention of it this morning from people from all sorts of different countries. My previous interview was a gentleman from Argentina, for example. You're also deeply involved in Aqualife, which is, of course, a non-profit that's focused on clean water access. What is the story behind that? Why is that mission so important to you personally?
I think we focus on, delivering value to our customers. But in Aqualife is about quality water access. It's about mitigating waterborne disease, which costs many lives across the world every day. It's also about education, and it's an opportunity to give back from, a value for many.
Yeah.
really, in a sense.
Oh, I like that. Value
Right.
for many. Yeah.
Because, we're working for value
for money.
for customers, but here it's about value for many.
Yeah. And have you already managed to touch the lives of many millions of people?
We work in many, many countries
Yeah.
trying to deliver quality water access and driving down that death rate statistics and education as well.
So you get a sense there of innovation playing a role in both sides of your career, the value for money, the value for many. And you have, of course, previously studied at the Carnegie Mellon and the Harvard Business School, both of them known as hubs of US innovation. What did your time at both of those institutions teach you? You've got to go to two of the most prestigious organizations, universities in the world. Have those lessons stayed with you throughout your career?
Well, I didn't think about those things while I was there because
I bet you didn't.
I was working in both of these, both parts of my education.
Yeah.
But, in reflection, I would say that the importance for the U.S., the importance for us as a company is around innovation.
Yeah.
And it's not only about technology innovation, it's about business process innovation. And I think from these universities really are key, not only the ones that I attended, but so many universities and at higher education institutions we have in the U.S. are really the key to continually helping drive that innovation.
I'm interested there about the business process innovation, because that brings us back to your leadership style in many ways. Many of the CEOs I've met have quite a clear sort of sense of how they want to lead their company, and they have different strategies and different methods in which they do that. How would you describe your leadership style?
Well, let me jump back for a moment to business process and innovation. What I mean by that is the way that underlying who we are as a company is really our process technology.
Okay.
But what we do is we have many other delivery methods to meet the way the customer wants to receive that technology. That might be through a product delivery, it might be through a service delivery, and it might be through an outsourced delivery where we're doing something on a concession. So I think as a company, we're very creative, including different financial models with customers to find solutions to help them reach their goals. So I think that's part of that. And of course, the application of things like digital, which both straddles both technology, as we consider it a core technology, but also straddles business process innovation and helping our customers achieve their goals. So back to the second part of your question, which is style. I think over the years, our focus is really to enable our management team to and try to help them achieve their goals. So I think that's the way I try to lead, but I also try to lead by example in what I do, and usually that's very important. We're a hardworking culture, and we're very focused on our customers, and we have the benefit of lots of great people that work within the company and a great supply chain that we've developed over 40 plus years. So deep relationships with suppliers that we've really built in multiple supply chains.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of this interview, you mentioned the breadth, but also the importance of the depth of those relationships. And Aquatech is sort of known for solving some of the toughest water process challenges. You have amazing technology. Is there a project that particularly stands out to you? One that's made a very positive impact, for example?
Yeah, so I'll come up with two.
Oh, excellent. I like two.
One is in critical minerals.
Okay.
The other is in water, and it brings us back to circular economies and circles in where we started. But the first is Lithium Americas, Thacker Pass. We've had the honor of being a part of on the journey with John Evans and his team. They've done such an outstanding job. We got involved with the project, late in the last decade, and really been able to help them reach their goals of really OPEX, CAPEX, supporting the project continuously. And it is the largest build in lithium in the world today. So that, our process technology is involved from taking basically the aqueous lithium after the clay has been leached, all the way to through lithium carbonate. Plus, that facility applies great environmental stewardship because we're doing zero liquid discharge at Thackler Pass. So all of the water essentially is recycled. So that's one project. The other project is H2 Green Steel, which is better known as Stegra in Sweden. That is today's version of a very modern steel plant that provides, really runs under sustainability, provides low carbon intensity steel to automakers around the world. And this is a very large project built. Both Lithium Americas and Stegra are very large, multi-billion-dollar projects. In the case of Stegra, we are providing the full utilities, ultra-pure water utilities, and zero liquid discharge recycle islands, and we'll actually be operating them for the next 25 years. So that's, again, an example of business model and technology innovation. So both those projects are what come to mind.
Yeah, and a big focus on sustainability for both of those.
Well, we could be called the poster child of sustainability. Everything we do, the water and water usage is a big deal in lithium, especially as you get to places like South America, but the U.S., anywhere in the world. And, we're able to bring our water skill sets to that, which are second to none in the world.
Okay, so obviously a very good platform already, brilliant company already, but looking ahead, what actually excites you the most, both for Aquatech, but also the sort of broader world of sustainable industrial and development?
Well, I think, what wakes me up in the morning is really helping solve customer problems. And I think what some of our industrial they're giants, what they're doing and the needs they have are continually growing. We're very focused on that. We also see in general that the solution sets that are needed by customers are getting ever more complex. So more and more opportunity for us. We just want to stay focused on those fundamentals of solving our customer pain points, being able to develop the right solutions for them. And many times they're bespoke, but they utilize our technologies and our unit operations in a unique way that delivers something optimized to them.
If you had the benefit of hindsight and you were looking back and you were going to give a sort of younger Venkee some advice, what would you... I always like to throw in a curveball near the end of the interview.
Okay.
I've loosened you up. Let's do the curveball. What would you What would you do?
We came from very humble beginnings. We've benefited from really focusing on our industrial knitting. I think one of the things I would have done is probably get into more non-water applications early on, because our process technology really applies in pretty much across the board. I would have also moved faster towards some of our core industrial customers. In the early years, we focused a lot on greenfield early projects, and today we really focus on, and that's been a very important game changer, the industrials that are multi-facility, multi-phase, and those strong multi-year relationships. Most of our business is repeat business, and when we work on a project, we want to be on that project not to deliver a project, but to deliver an outcome for the life of that facility. So we want to be on that site, whether it's through operations, ongoing services, consumables, membranes, adsorbent replacement, all of the above.
Yeah, you mentioned the relationship with the factory in Stockholm. You've got a 25-year contract there.
Correct, and we operate many facilities around the world.
Gosh, absolutely.
So we would have
fascinating.
should move faster to that model. That would have been my first advice to a younger me.
That would have been. So move into that, and then just imagine you'd be like a decade in already, kind of thing. Well, you probably are with some of them. Okay, so we are asking all our guests this final question. What is your biggest takeaway from this year's conference? Now, I know we've got a couple of days to go, or maybe even 3 days to go, but what do you think will be the biggest takeaway that you put in your back pocket and you take away?
I think, again, the paradox that the industry's in right now, there's visible demand in the next couple of years that's coming. There's the need and the backdrop of a very difficult cost or price environment for lithium. However, I think the way to address that is really to make some of there's a lot of project opportunities that are happening to really ensure that we get to work in figuring out how to make those projects bankable, reducing risk on those projects, because if you look at the amount of the curve by, in the next decade, no matter who you look at, even the most pessimistic versions of these data sets, it's a tremendous hike of growth. So I don't think that's in question. It's how to ensure that these projects take off, and there's a lot of hard work. Everybody sort of looks at the next little shiny toy. It's not about sort of unit operations or unique parts of a solution. It's about something that's optimized and put together to deliver an outcome that can be bankable. I think the pain point for the industry is how do I get confident that I can underwrite a project?
Yes.
And that's really an important takeaway. The opportunity is there. We just need to get to work.
It feels like you're building a sector, or
I'm part of this building and excited to be.
Venkee, honestly, thank you very, very much indeed. What a fascinating conversation that was. Really inspiring, really insightful, and it was great to hear both your personal story, but also to get a bit of a sense of the company's story as well. And thank you to everyone who's been tuning in here. Thank you to everyone who's joining us a bit later on as well. Thank you for listening. And a special thank you as well for our show sponsor, Aquatech. You can catch this episode and all of our live lounge interviews that we're recording here at the Lithium Supply and Battery Raw Materials Conference there's Spotify, there's Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, whatever your favorite platform might be. You can also watch the full video on the Fastmarkets YouTube channel. And we're going to be sharing highlights across all of our social media channels as well in the coming days. So make sure you follow Fastmarkets to stay connected. And if you're enjoying the series, please don't hesitate to follow, to like, or even to leave a few comments. We really love reading them. Thank you very much indeed for listening.